Welcome to the 19th episode of the Red Sox Unfiltered Podcast. I am your host, Patrick Green. We got a great episode for you guys today. Joining me, as always, is Dave Latham, who is the co-host of this Red Sox Unfiltered Podcast. Dave, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
And then we got another co-host in the building, Jordan Dickow. Jordan, also say hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, so we're recording a little earlier than usual. Typically, we record on Sundays, but since I will be going out of town, we had to do one episode today, bright and early. So, we don't have much of the Orioles series actually have had to happen yet. So, we're going to kind of break down what happened against Toronto, and then we're going to preview the rest of the series, and we're going to talk about Friday's game. This is recorded Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, so bear with us. But, still should be an awesome episode. So let's just get right into it. We're going to start by recapping what happened. Red Sox, Blue Jays. It was an exciting series. It was fun. Lots of runs scored, that is for sure. The bullpen didn't look good. The bullpen hasn't looked good this week, but again, Red Sox have been able to counter that with home runs and hits and extra innings. It's been fun. So the first game, it was on Tuesday, and it was a 10-7 come from behind victory. That was awesome. They had the 5-run 10th inning, which propelled the Sox ultimately win. I think they had 8 runs after the 7th or 8th inning because J.D. Martinez hit a late 3-run home run too. Drew Pomeranz pitched in this game. He threw 4 2/3 innings of 2 earned runs a ball, 5 walks and 1 strikeout. That is a horrendous K to BB ratio. Luckily, we probably won't have to see it anymore because he's been moved to the bullpen. We'll talk about that in a sec. But Mitch Moreland and JBJ, they hit extra inning homers. In the 10th inning, Mitch Moreland took one to deep right field. He absolutely crushed that pitch. That was awesome. And then JBJ did the same. He knocked one out of the park. I think it was also right field. Yeah, I think they both pulled the ball. So, JBJ, Mitch Moreland, late inning heroics. And then it was, like I said, it was announced later in the week that Pom has been moved to the bullpen. It finally happened. People have been clamoring it to happen, and it took a little while, but we're here, and I think most Red Sox fans, and I think we've talked about this before, we're pretty stoked. Brian Johnson will have the 5th spot in the rotation until whenever Eduardo Rodriguez comes back. Dave, what were your thoughts on this move finally actually coming to fruition?
Yeah, well, it's about time. Pomeranz, he was great in 2017. That was a fantastic season, not taking anything away from him there. But it's in the past. 2018 Pom just doesn't have whatever 2017 Pom had, be it injuries, mechanics, or just having a bad year. Whatever it is, he's better suited for the bullpen this year. He's a 2-pitch pitcher, and when both pitches are working, he's really good, and you can get away with that as a starter. But this year, they just haven't been working as well. So putting him in the bullpen where he only needs to face guys one time, it works out better for him. And Johnson certainly deserved the chance to start. He's been fantastic all year. His last start, he went 7 innings, gave up 5 runs, but that's a little deceiving because Johnson gave up a 3-run homer in his last inning of work, and he probably should have been out of the game by then. Alex Cora even said in the post game that he was going more for getting Johnson to eat innings than he was keeping the score down because the bullpen had been worked so much. So Cora essentially forfeited that 3-run home run just to keep the bullpen fresh. So Johnson's really done everything asked of him. Pomeranz hasn't as a starter. He made one bullpen appearance yesterday, looked pretty good, but he's best for the bullpen. Johnson's best for the starting rotation, and altogether, it's what's best for this team.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pomeranz got 2-pitch mix. He's got the knuckle curve and the fastball. For the most part, he has a changeup that's a periphery pitch. Not very good. He really favors that knuckle. He throws the knuckle curve almost as much as the fastball in a good season. This season, it's kind of been weird for him. The knuckle curve has not been effective. It actually the last time I looked at it, it had more dip than usual. Maybe that kind of gave it away more. But the fastball velocity is also down. So there were a lot of concerning things with the 2-pitch mix, and now that he will move to the bullpen, hopefully his stuff will play up. The velocity on the fastball will regain its life and hopefully set up a better usage for Pomeranz in the future. Jordan, what were your thoughts on this move?
Yeah, I think, like Dave said, it was about time. I think his his year last year gave him a pretty long leash, given that he had such a great year. But this year, we've covered it enough that it was just about time, and it was a good thing that he went to the bullpen, because he actually threw a pretty good inning. I think it was yesterday. One inning, one walk, one strikeout. So he did well in his first bullpen stuff. But yeah, right now, I think it's what's best for the team.
Definitely. I think we're all in agreement here. But in this game, Craig Kimbrell also blew the save. He got the win. But pitcher wins don't matter, so why do we still look at them? Anyway, weird tangent. But yeah, Kimbrell blew the save. He's been scuffling lately. He's allowed an earned run in 4 of his last 5 outings. Dave, I'm going to ask you first, what do these recent scuffles say about Kimbrell, and can he be as good as he was last year going forward?
Well, I don't think Kimbrell can be as good as last year going forward, just because he was stupid good last year. Even 2018 Kimbrell before all this wasn't as good as last year Kimbrell. That was something of a career year. It was one of the best years from a reliever I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So him not being in 2017 form isn't a knack against 2018 Kimbrell. It's just acknowledging how good he was last year. But that said, I'm not worried about Kimbrell. I mean, it's a bad run. There's no denying that. But he's Craig Kimbrell. He's going to figure it out, and he's going to go back to being the guy we know and love as the season goes on. He's never, over his career, he's never really suffered the second half slump that a lot of power relievers tend to suffer. He has the physical ability to go an entire season and into a postseason with the exact same stuff he always has. So I think this is just a blip on the radar, and he's going to be fine.
Yeah, but before the last 5 outings, he had not allowed an earned run in his previous 12. So he had a really good stretch there. Now he's run into some command issues. He's walked 5 guys. He's only struck out 6. That's also a very bad strikeout to walk ratio, especially for a reliever. The problem with Kimbrell this year, as you said, there was no way he was going to replicate what he did in 2017. Maybe not no way, because he's done it before earlier in his career, having numbers similar to that. But the level he produced in 17 was an aberration, especially of late. 2016, 2015, he was good, but he was around this level. That was an elite year. He did amazing, and Kimbrell's so talented. He's one of the best closers in baseball, but he just kind of completely didn't walk people, which he had been doing for the last couple of years. So it was kind of a blip, kind of an aberration. And I think his walk rate was 1.83 in 2017. It is now over 4. So yeah, that has come back, and it has been harmful for Kimbrell, but he should be able to work through it. I don't expect him to be 17 form, but Kimbrell's still one of the best relievers in baseball, and I don't think anyone should expect otherwise. Jordan, what about you? What are your thoughts on Craig Kimbrell's recent struggles?
Yeah, it's a 162 game season. I think for as good as a closer is, even Kimbrell's going to have some down games. I think what's really important, as he works out of the slump, is just when he throws as hard as he does, command is super important. So, that's something he's going to have to work on. But overall, he's still one of the best relievers in baseball, and I think he's going to get through it okay.
We all believe in Kimbrell. Kimbrell, don't let us down. The Red Sox bullpen needs you. They're not doing very well lately. But yeah, so then we're going to move on to Wednesday. They also scored 10 runs, so 20 runs between these 2 games. Actually, the 4 games the Red Sox have played, they've scored 44 runs in their last 4 games against really crappy pitching in the Toronto Blue Jays and Baltimore Orioles, but 44 runs. That is something. But yeah, on Wednesday they won 10-5. Rafael Devers, our large son, made his return to the lineup. Shout out to Dave. You were probably very excited about that. He went 2 for 4 with a double, home run, and a walk. So how happy, Dave, were you to see Rafael Devers back in the lineup?
To say it was the greatest day of my life might be a little bit of hyperbole, but it's definitely a top 5. So, it's just so great to have him back. He's such a great addition to this lineup. I know Eduardo Nunez has been doing better lately, but he's just not the same hitter Devers is when Devers really gets going. He can hit it to all parts of the field with power. he's just phenomenal, and he's drawn walks. I think each of the 2 games he's played since he's come off the DL, one of them drove in a run yesterday with the bases loaded. So, I mean, it's a small sample to be sure, but if he's getting better at like selecting his pitches, working the count, and kind of not just swinging at everything and hoping he makes contact, that only makes him even better. And he's going to do that. He's 21 years old. He's going to get better as time goes on. But if he's already like making notable improvements, notable strides in those areas, he just becomes even more dangerous. And this Red Sox lineup, which is already the best in baseball, gets even deeper.
Yeah, plate discipline to me is weird. It's kind of like hard to learn. I mean, again, you'll probably get repetition, so it's easier to, be selective at the plate going forward because you have that muscle memory, but it's so reactionary and it's like it's microseconds that it's hard to kind of like hone it into a workable skill to make improvements. But there are people who do it, and Devers is young, as you said, so hopefully he'll get that repetition and work on those improvements. His plate discipline kind of reminds me of Eduardo Nunez, as you mentioned, Nunez, because they both are free swingers, kind of reminiscent to Pablo Sandoval a little bit, even though Sandoval's I don't know why I brought up Sandoval on a Red Sox podcast in 2018. No one needs to hear that name. But yeah, as you said, Devers can hit to all fields. He's got a great opposite field swing when he uses it. But his opposite field percentage this year, so in 2017 it was 31.5%. In 18 it's 25.1%. That's about 6-7% drop. I don't know how discouraging that is, because he has actually a higher hard hit percentage this season. But Dave, I'm going to go here with you. Does Devers have to hit the ball frequently to the opposite field to maximize his success?
He has the power where if he does become a pull-only hitter, he can be a decent enough bat in a lineup. Like he'll still get his doubles, he'll still get his homers if he only hits it to right. But he's so much better when he can hit it to all parts of the field with power, and he has the potential to do that. And I don't see why anyone wouldn't do that, because if you can hit the ball to all parts of the field, the other team can't play the shift on you, which only opens up even more for you. So your average is going to go up, your on-base percentage is going to go up. Some of those, you'll get singles, which I know singles aren't a big part of the game anymore, but they're a heck of a lot better than outs.
They are.
And it just opens up the whole field. So I really think that if Devers is going to be the best player he can be, he needs to hit it to all parts of the field. And I certainly think he has the potential to do that. He's done that for the majority of his young career.
Me too. When Devers is hitting to the opposite field, I think you have the best version of Rafael Devers possible. Jordan, what about you? Does Devers have to hit balls frequently to the opposite field to maximize his success, or can he get away with what he's doing right now?
I mean, he can get away with being a pull hitter, but why would if you can hit balls to opposite field, then why not? I mean, you're kind of limiting yourself as a hitter, and then that just kind of limit yourself producing in the lineup. So I think yes, you could get away with it, but at the end of the day, why not? You're kind of hurting yourself if you can't utilize all of your strengths. So absolutely
agree. Devers has, to me, one of the prettiest opposite field swings on the team. JD Martinez is first. Martinez is first. But Devers has such great opposite field power. He could use it to his great advantage. He has the wall right there. But yeah, moving on. Brian Johnson went 7 innings, as Dave mentioned earlier when talking about Johnson. He gave 5 earned runs. He struck out 6 and 2 walks. He did not get 12 Ks. I don't know if people listened last week, but I went on a tangent about Johnson getting 11 strikeouts, which was a career high by a landslide, and I was excited to see if he could get to 12. It wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen. But it was something I was personally had some investment in, and, didn't actually come to fruition. So he gave up that 3-run home run late in the 7th inning. He should not have been in that game at that point. He had pitched very well before that. Jordan, what were your thoughts on Brian Johnson's performance?
You know what? I mean, he's been pitching well leading up to that start or that appearance. I mean, it's a bummer, but at the same time, I guess I'm gonna say like he's gonna have a bad outing here and there, and like Dave said earlier, like he's been doing everything that's asked for him. So, even though you hate to see Johnson have a bad outing, I mean, I'm not gonna say expect it, but it's just like he's been doing well. If he has a bad outing here and there, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and Dave, you covered Johnson's outing a little bit before. Do you want to add anything before we move on?
I mean, it's just great to see him starting to go deeper into games is I guess the only thing I'll add. He wasn't doing that as much earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that was because most of the season he was a reliever, so he physically wasn't capable of going too deep into games. But it's great to see him start to get used to going deep into games. And if he's a guy that can, get you six innings of 3-run ball or something like that, and he's your fifth starter, that's a really great place to be in. So I certainly think Johnson has the potential to do that. He's shown the ability to do it multiple times this year. So if his body's up for it, I think it's just makes this rotation even deeper. We've already covered the bullpen's probably the weak link of the team right now. But so if you have 5 guys that are able to go deep into games, that just makes it even better, so you don't have to rely on the bullpen as much.
You know who didn't go deep into his game on Thursday night? It was an 8-5 loss. Rick Porcello. He went 4 innings and gave up 7 earned runs, and this was literally on the heels. The game before, he went a complete game, 9 innings against the Yankees. The Blue Jays don't have a horrible lineup, but wow, that was 0 to 100 or 100 to 0 real quick. The only silver lining in this game was Mookie Betts. He hit the first cycle in 2018. I think I don't even know the order of how it happened, but the home run was last. It came in the 9th inning off Ken Giles. That's kind of poetic and perfect because Ken Giles sucks. The last Red Sox to hit a cycle was Brock Holt in 2015. Before that, you have to go back to the 1990s, mid-1990s to find another cycle. Boston has had no other player in the current century, yeah, I just said that, to accomplish this feat. So that was cool. Dave, what were your thoughts on the cycle?
So, yeah, go Mookie. I mean, just another thing to the endless list of things Mookie Betts is capable of doing. Dude was amazing. Rick Porcello was not, but, you can't win them all. This Red Sox team is certainly trying to, but sadly, you can't win them all. It's weird how Porcello kind of, always gets crushed by the Blue Jays. Not always, but his worst starts of the year have come against them. It sort of makes you wonder, did they have a thing on Porcello's mechanics that nobody else knows, or is it just one of those weird things? So, pretty bad game, but yay, Mookie hit for the cycle, and that's awesome. We took 2 of 3, who cares?
Even when the Red Sox lose, they do something remarkable, and Mookie Betts did something remarkable. So I don't even take it as a real loss. These things are inevitable. Mookie Betts had one of his best nights of his career. It was awesome to see, so not a real loss in my book. Brock Holt also said something that was hilarious. I think he said something to the effect after Betts hit the cycle, Mookie took the only thing I had away from me, because referencing that he had hit the cycle before and he was the only one on the team. Holt's hilarious. That was funny. Jordan, what were your thoughts on the cycle?
Yeah, I mean, it's just another, like Dave said, it's just another thing to add to the list of Mookie Betts events. I mean, like you said, Pat, even when the Red Sox are losing, they do something pretty cool. So, it's too bad that they lost. But at the same time, it's Mookie did it again. So, it didn't hurt that bad. No,
it did not. So we're actually going to get into a polarizing discussion here. People have been talking about this since day one. It's always fun to look at and talk about. We haven't talked about it in a while. I know we've discussed this a few times on this podcast, but it seems like as good a time as any because it's getting even closer, and we're, mid-August now? We only got a month and a half left of the season. We'll continue to talk about this. This is captivating. But it's the AL MVP race. The Red Sox have two guys in Mookie Betts and JD Martinez who are right there. I think Dave actually wrote an article about who is more valuable to the team, Mookie Betts or JD Martinez, on RedSoxUnfiltered.com. Give that a check. But yeah, so basically there's been a three-headed monster, and JD Martinez seems to be right on the peripheral of it. Mookie Betts, Jose Ramirez, and Mike Trout have been vying for the AL MVP all season. They've all had amazing years. So I wanted to get your thoughts, Dave, on who's the front runner right now.
Well, my front runner is Mookie Betts. Like you said, Pat, right now it's a four-headed race. Mookie, JD, Jose Ramirez, and Mike Trout. I'd honestly put Mike Trout as number 4 on that list.
Whoa.
Just because the other three are having such fantastic seasons. Trout's doing what he normally does. Trout's normally fantastic, but he's not quite where the other three are in my eyes. So, but I'd give it to Mookie right now, just because the dude is absolutely just unbelievable this year. He leads the league in average. His slugging percentage, and this is off by a day or two, but he has a 653 slugging percentage, 186 WRC plus. He plays Gold Glove defense. He's one of the best base runners in the league. There's really nothing this kid cannot do, and he's basically the best at everything he tries. So I have to give it to Mookie right now. All due respect to JD, all due respect to Jose Ramirez, but right now it's Mookie Betts for me.
I would love to go bowling with Mookie Betts. I think that, we see him as a baseball player every day, and he does amazing, but he has a side career, I guess, as a bowler, and he's apparently super good. I think he pitched a perfect game in, the Celebrity Classic.
Yeah, I saw him the day of the Super Bowl. The Pats Eagles won. Mookie was in a pro bowling tournament, and I remember thinking, if Mookie wins this and the Pats win the Super Bowl, the best day of my life. Mookie came in second and the Pats lost, so
I'm sorry, dude.
But it was cool while it was happening.
Yeah. You just got to watch the Puppy Bowl on Animal Planet during the that's at 12 o'clock. That kind of makes it better. But, Mookie Betts is pretty awesome at everything he does. I'm pretty big into bowling. I'm getting into it, so if Mookie Betts ever wants a fan to follow him around and, clean his bowling ball or something, I don't know. I'd be down. I like bowling. Mookie Betts is awesome. But in my opinion, Mookie Betts is the MVP. He actually overtook Jose Ramirez and Mike Trout in the F-WAR leaderboards after a torrid week. He has actually accumulated one whole WAR in the last 7 days, and I think that comes in 6 games because they were off Monday. So and I'm not gospel WAR guy. These are percentage points here, but yeah, a lot of the talk about this MVP race has been centered on wins above replacement, and that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, Mookie Betts is in front. He is 7.7. He is 0.1 ahead of Mike Trout, who has 7.6, and he's 0.2 ahead of Jose Ramirez at 7.5. JD Martinez, since he's been DHing and he's not a good fielder and he's not a great base runner, is a little behind them, but offensively he's right there with Jose Ramirez. If I had to rank them, I'd go Betts. Betts all around has had a fantastic year. He does everything. I don't know much more to say. He actually has 194 WRC plus. I looked at the updated leaders today. He leads baseball, which is cool, which is awesome. He leads in slugging percentage. On-base percentage actually goes to Mike Trout, and it's not really close. He's a 459 OBP, and I think the next closest is 409, which is Betts. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, Trout has a really big gap in on-base percentage. Trout actually just went on the DL, which will help Mookie's case. The thing is, Trout and Ramirez have been on the field more this year. I think they have 50 more plate appearances, and they've played 15 more games. When you're on the field, you're adding value. So that all obviously has to be factored into the discussion. Now, Betts is kind of making up for it on a rate basis. I think there's no question he's been the best player, and now that Trout is literally going on the DL, he'll make up for lost time. Jose Ramirez, meanwhile, is not really close to Trout. I mean, he is, but not really. He's not as good of a hitter or as valuable as a hitter as Trout or Betts have been this season. Betts has 194 WRC plus. Trout's at 190. Jose Ramirez is at 175. Where Ramirez gets the leg up is he's an extremely good defender, but he hasn't really been as versatile this year. I mean, he has the ability, but he hasn't been playing multiple positions. I think he's played every single game at third base. He's a really good base runner. He's got the most stolen bases of the group, 27 stolen bases, 5 caught stealing. He's only grounded into one double play, which is incredible. Not a lot of people have done that. And then another thing he does is he leads baseball in BSR, which is the base running component that goes into WAR. So there's a lot to like about Ramirez. If I had to rank, I'd go Betts, Trout, Ramirez, and then Francisco Lindor, because Lindor's been awesome too. He's been he almost has 30 home runs. Francisco Lindor, he's 29 home runs right now. Plus he's got stellar Gold Glove defense, and then my fifth would be JD Martinez. Jordan, what about you? Give us your AL MVP update.
You know what? I was as you guys were talking, I was thinking JD Martinez for the sheer fact that he's been hitting the cover off the ball, but the MVP race isn't just about hitting. So I'm gonna go with you guys. I'm gonna go with Mookie Betts. I mean, he's consistent at the plate, like probably not like on the run that like he had when the season started, but he has been playing stellar defense, and then he's been doing some good base running. So I think overall, like my pick is Mookie Betts.
Good pick. It was unanimous. Not surprising. This is a Red Sox podcast, and Mookie Betts has probably been the best player in baseball. So nothing surprising here. Now I have another question that I just thought of. Which duo is better, JD Martinez and Mookie Betts, or Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez? Starting with you, Dave.
Boy, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm obviously biased, but I'm gonna give it to the Red Sox, Mookie Betts and JD, but only by the narrowest of margins. Just because, obviously, I think Mookie and JD are the better bats, just because they're two of the 3 or 4 best hitters in baseball this year. But if you're maybe looking for more of an all-around, rounded-out type of duo, that's probably going to be Cleveland, just because Lindor and Ramirez, they both give you something on the base path, so they both give you something in the field, whereas JD and Mookie does all that, but JD really, he's there for his bat and his bat alone. He can't really field that well. He's a very unremarkable base runner. So it's really sort of a style preference, and, I'd take, this year I would take JD and Mookie over Lindor and Ramirez.
I will have to disagree. It's very close, but I will take Lindor and Ramirez. I love me some good fielding. I love me some good base running. Mookie Betts, as you said, does that. That's obvious. JD Martinez doesn't. Martinez is one of the best hitters in baseball, maybe outside Mookie Betts, Mike Trout. But I'm going to go Ramirez and Lindor just because of the defensive acumen that they both have. They're complete players. Martinez is not, but Martinez is so wonderful offensively that I hate even dismissing that. But yeah, I'll go Ramirez and Lindor as the more valuable package right now, and then even going forward because they are younger and they have more potential. What about you, Jordan?
I'm gonna go Betts and Martinez. I was thinking in my head, just as a joke, if we could intermingle, I'd do Betts and Lindor, but since that's just breaking the rules, I'm not gonna go there. But for the sake of the podcast, I'm going to go Betts and Martinez.
Okay, so I was the trailblazer here. I'm the lone wolf. So that's a thing. But yeah, we're going to move on to...
He also picked the Yankees to win the AL East this year, so
We don't need to talk about that, Dave. I'm ashamed as anyone about that. I also think I picked the Angels to make the playoffs, too, on our preseason predictions. There was a lot of crap that went wrong. I picked the Nationals.
I had the Angels in there, too, so don't feel too bad about that one.
I think I picked the Nationals in the World Series, though, which might even be worse in hindsight. I mean, not a lot of people saw that coming, but yeah, my predictions were just crap. I'm going to get better next year, and I'm not going to bet against when the Red Sox and Yankees are this close. And I write for a Red Sox site. I'm just going to pick the Red Sox from now on. Moving on to Friday. So the Red Sox won 19-12. It was a mash fest. 33 hits combined in this game. And the O's actually out-hit the Red Sox. The Orioles picked up 17 hits, the Red Sox 16. Nathan Eovaldi, the wonder kid who they just picked up, or they actually traded for a couple weeks ago, he'd thrown 15 scoreless innings. He had been remarkable against the Orioles, who by all standards are probably the worst team in baseball outside of the Royals, maybe. He got shelled. He threw 2 2/3 innings and gave up 10 hits, 8 runs, 4 earned runs. Dave, what were your thoughts on Eovaldi's performance?
Yeah, so I didn't expect Eovaldi to never allow a run in a Red Sox uniform, but I didn't expect that either. He just didn't have his cutter, so without that he becomes a lot more hittable. And just all around, except for offensively, just defensively, we looked very sloppy all day. Holt, I saw, missed a infield single they probably could have gotten to. Jackie Bradley made an error, which you never see happen. It was a hard catch, but still, it's Jackie. You expect him to come down with it. And, just all around, not great. Eovaldi got shelled. The bullpen, didn't do much better either, but it's okay because our offense is amazing. So
yeah, even though Eovaldi gave up 8 runs and the bullpen gave up however many more, I can do the easy math, 4 more. The Red Sox scored 19 runs. They don't need pitching. Their starters could give up 7-8 runs, which they have lately, and the Red Sox will still be in the game fighting, hitting balls very hard. So like this team can I think JD Martinez said it perfectly. This team can beat you in so many ways. They can hit home runs. They can scrap together a few hits and create rallies. They can walk their way to tie the game. They can pitch shutout games against the Yankees. They literally can do it all. So it's incredible to see, even like when the rotation's not doing great, and they haven't been great lately, after like a torrid start. Like the 12 stretch before this Blue Jays series was like historically good for the Red Sox starters. So it's great to see that they could just pick these guys up. Jordan, what about you? What were your thoughts on Eovaldi's performance?
You know what? I kind of expected. Well, I shouldn't say expected him to have a bad start, but you would. You would think that like he can't throw scoreless outing like every night, even though we would love it. You don't expect him to give up 10 hits, but at the same time, it's just like he. At the same time, it's just like he's been doing really well. I don't want to say like I hate to say like you expect some decline, but
some regression.
I don't think this is a huge thing that like he had a bad outing.
Yeah, I mean everyone has a bad outing, and no one's an exception. Eovaldi's a good pitcher. He's not a Chris Sale by any stretch of the imagination. As Dave said, his cutter didn't really cut, which is this is hard to do well when his. I think that's been his best pitch this year. That's what separated him from 2016 Nathan Eovaldi to 2018 Nathan Eovaldi is his up and cutter usage. It's been like I think his most valuable pitch in terms of linear weights, in terms of pitch values on Fangraphs. So. The fact that he didn't have it definitely hurt him. But the Red Sox won, so who the heck cares? Bogarts hit a home run. Brock Holt hit a home run. Brock Holt hit a home run. That was his second of the season. I feel like he hits a lot of his home runs in Camden Yards. I don't know if anyone can fact-check that, but I feel like whenever they play the Orioles, Holt hits a home run. This probably is subjective bias. I don't have any stats to back that up. But it just seems like whenever Holt is actually hitting home runs, it's Camden Yards. I don't know why. I bet you I'll look after this podcast is over and I'll see that Holt has like one career home run in Camden Yards and I'll be like, oh, what the hell? But for now, I'm sticking with it. But yeah, the bullpen was not great. But the Orioles bullpen was even worse. So that was cool. Pom came into the bullpen though, and he actually got the win and looked pretty decent, which was encouraging. This is bullpen Pom. Dave, did you see anything from bullpen Pom that you wanted to talk about?
It's only one outing, so there's really, you can't draw too many conclusions, but he looked really good. He allowed a walk, which has been a big problem for him all year, but he didn't allow a single hit, and the guy that he walked didn't make it past first base. It was a pretty solid outing. He wasn't giving up hard contact. I want to say he struck out just one guy, but the other two were pretty easy outs, so, it looked encouraging. His fastball velocity was up a little bit, still not where you want it to be, but it's better than the 88 it was sitting at as a starter. So I do think that maybe these shorter stints over time will allow him to put more on it because he knows he only has to go out for an inning or two at a time. Hopefully that can make him a bit more of an effective weapon. And I think we all overlooked just how good Pom's 2017 was. Somewhere in there is a good pitcher. If you can get that guy back out even for an inning or two at a time, it certainly helps the team's bullpen.
Do you know what his velocity topped out as? Because I don't. What was it? Maybe...
No, what was it?
I don't know. I was asking you. I genuinely don't.
Yeah, I thought you were totally setting that up.
No. I was just... I didn't pay too much attention, and now I wish I had. Hopefully it was...
I want to say, I think I saw it hit 91 a few times, which, not great. You'd like him more at, 93-ish, but it's a lot better than how he was consistently hitting 88 as a starter. So it's baby steps, but I'll take them.
Yeah, because I'm definitely interested to see like how many ticks he can gain on the fastball, because I think last year he sat around 91. He's had some regression to like 88 average on his fastball now. So like I think there's potential that he can go up to 92, 93, 94. I don't know where it ends, but yeah, now he can go harder, go maximize his stuff because he's pitching shorter stints. So we'll see. What about you? What about you, Jordan? What did you see from Pom?
From a bullpen Pomeranz start, like it was. I didn't see that game, but I checked his line before we got on, and you know what? I mean, like Dave said, you can't draw too many conclusions from one start, but I'm going to say it was a good start out of the bullpen.
Definitely.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It was a good, nice way to wean into this new role that he's going to be thrust upon. Hopefully, he can be effective. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, they used 7 pitchers in this game. That is a lot of pitchers, especially on the eve of having to play a doubleheader today. So that's going to be fun. They did call up William Cuevas. So he might start tomorrow, but he also start the game 2 of the doubleheader, or he might relieve depending on if Hector Velasquez is used in game 1. Because if Hector Velasquez is not used, he will pitch game 2. If he is used, then Cuevas will pitch game 2. So we'll see what happens. Dave, could you give us a little bit of background on Cuevas?
Sure, but first, I looked up your Brock Holt homers in Camden Yards. So he has 15 career home runs. Want to guess how many of those came in Camden Yards?
2.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, once I said it, I knew it probably wasn't true. But yeah, he has 2 home runs in Camden Yards. Thank you for looking that up. I look ridiculous. So that's he only has,
I do what I can.
He only has,
So yeah, anyway, back on Cuevas for the actual topic of the conversation. So I read on somewhere that the plan is that if Hector Velasquez doesn't need to pitch in game 1, he's starting game 2.
Yeah.
But if Velasquez, has to pitch game 1, they're turning to Cuevas, which with how beat up the bullpen is after the last 2 games, honestly, I'm betting on Velasquez needing to pitch just because someone has to. So if Cuevas does end up starting, it's not an ideal situation by any means, but he's not really a strikeout guy. He only has like a 7.68 K per 9 in Pawtucket this year, where he really, I'm not going to say excels because he's not particularly great at it, but his best trait is his walk rate's pretty down. He has a 2.45, I want to say, walk per 9 rate, which at that level is pretty good. None of his pitches are anything special. His fastball sits in the low 90s. It drops as the game goes on, and he has a curveball, changeup, and slider. Again, none of them really impressive. They're all mediocre offerings. The only way he wins is by just really locating his pitches. He has to paint the corners because his stuff alone just isn't good enough to get guys out. So that's really what you're looking at here. He's going against a bad team in the Orioles, but that Orioles team also just put up 12 runs against us. So,
True.
You really don't want to have to turn to Cuevas in my mind, but right now, assuming Velasquez can't start game 2, you really don't have a better option. So, not ideal, but hopefully we can just outslug them again in game 2.
Yeah. I think surprisingly, there was a surprising stat that I listened to on Effectively Wild, which is a Fangraphs podcast. I think they said something, it might have been a week ago, might have been a week and a half ago, that the Orioles had scored the most runs in baseball since the Manny Machado trade. I don't know if that's still true, but they put up 12 runs last night, so it might be true, which is kind of, really surprising considering how porous their offense actually is. That's a weird random event. But yeah, so along the same lines of the bullpen, Ryan Brazier pitched last night, and he came in pretty clutch. He's kind of been like a really good cog when some other guys have struggled. We've talked about Brazier before, but Dave, what are your thoughts on Brazier right now as things stand?
So yeah, the last few times we've talked about Brazier, I've approached with cautious optimism because he kind of came out of nowhere. He'd been a career minor leaguer, making a few appearances in the majors, so he was good, and I'm like, yeah, well, I don't want to get too excited about it. Well, I'm getting excited about it right now. Brazier has just been absolutely phenomenal. Really, ever since coming up to the majors, he's only had like maybe one or two bad outings, and I'm really excited to see what he brings. I think he's slowly working his way up in terms of the ranks of the Boston bullpen. He's not Craig Kimbrell level. He's never going to get there. He's probably not even Matt Barnes or anything like that, but he's certainly deserving of a spot on the postseason roster. If it started right now, he's in my bullpen.
I'm going to have to, I'm still approaching with caution. So Brazier has the 1.23 ERA, but he's got a slightly worse FIP, which, those are the underlying peripheral numbers. He's only pitched 14 and 2/3 innings, so that's more predictive of his future performance than his actual ERA. Now, his FIP is not bad. It's when you get to his expected FIP, if his home run rate was neutralized to a league average level. He hasn't allowed a home run yet. So his xFIP is 376, which is not a great, if his ERA was 376, obviously Brazier would probably be in AAA right now. He has a good 50% plus ground ball percentage. He yields ground balls, so he gets weak contact, so he's probably better than his xFIP says, but his WOBA allowed this year is 214. Awesome, incredible. His expected WOBA is 296, which is not bad, but that seems to suggest there is some regression to the mean that will be inevitable here, and when it happens, I don't know how much they can trust Brazier because he's not a high strikeout guy. He's got a 7 K per 9. His walk rate is not wonderful either. I think it's around league average. He doesn't really stand out in any part of his game, even allowing weak contact. I mean, I guess he does generate some weak contact, but yeah, his expected WOBA is kind of factored into the quality of contact that has been hit against him. So Brazier, I'm not sure what the future holds for him. I think he can be a quality reliever, but I don't think he'll be a sub 150 ERA guy going forward. I think you can get closer to a 3 ERA and be valuable, but he's not going to pitch like he's done right now. What about you, Jordan? What are your thoughts on Ryan Brazier?
I looked at his game logs leading up to this podcast, and I think he's through his 13 starts, he's only given up 2 earned runs. I either need to double check or get fact checked on that, but I've liked what I've seen. He's kind of been like a sneaky call up. Like Dave said, he's making his way through the ranks of the bullpen, but is never going to be Craig Kimbrell. So I think it's a good nice quiet pickup. It's been a good It's been a good pickup for the Red Sox in the bullpen.
Definitely good. It's been a good acquisition. Hopefully he can sustain it. But now, since we're on the subject of the Red Sox and Orioles, as everyone should know, the Red Sox are really, really good, and they're on pace to be an historic regular season team in terms of win percentage. Meanwhile, the Orioles are a really, really bad team, and they are on pace to be a historically bad team in terms of regular season record. So I did a poll on this on Red Sox Unfiltered, which, our answers are going to be biased because we're soliciting most of our opinions from diehard Red Sox fans. So the question was, which team will end up with more, Red Sox wins or Orioles losses? I'm going to start here with you, Dave.
I think Orioles losses are going to take it just because the Red Sox, they're going to keep winning. The Orioles, they're going to keep losing. But there's going to come a time where if the Sox keep up this rate, which they need to in order to get to the Orioles, to win more games than the Orioles lose, eventually they just clinch the division. And once that happens and we clinch home field, I can't see us really trying that hard anymore because, Alex Cora has always played it cautiously. He's not going to chase a win record just for the sake of owning a win record. He's going to rest guys, make sure they're ready for the postseason, which naturally means we won't win as much. Meanwhile, the Orioles have no reason to play. They're not very good, and, it's a whole lot easier to lose games than it is to win them. Their pace will they'll only keep on losing, whereas the Sox may not win as much if we, clinch the division. And if we don't clinch the division early, it's because we're losing, so therefore we can't catch them anyway.
Good reasoning. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Orioles losses. I think Dave brought up a good point. Looking forward to the postseason. If we can clinch early, what's his name? Cora's going to rest guys, and then if we don't, we're losing. So, one, it's kind of hard to get to that I think, to that threshold. But at the same time, it's just like, Cora's style all year has been to rest guys when he can. So I'm going with Orioles losses.
Yeah, I'm weary of the conservation strategy for Cora, especially into September, and the Red Sox have a padded 9-game lead. I think the Yankees will remain within, they're not really in striking distance right now. Red Sox have a very good shot at winning this thing, but I think the Yankees will be competitive throughout August, throughout September. They have an easier schedule than the Red Sox going forward, so they could catch up a few games here and there. I don't think the Red Sox are going to start losing that many, and I kind of have to believe that the Orioles can't keep this pace. They can. They just blew up their whole team. They suck. But Fangraphs projects the Red Sox to win 109 games. Meanwhile, they project the Orioles to lose 108. Same thing with the Kansas City Royals. Kansas City Royals actually have like a negative 40 advantage at run differential, or disadvantage, or however you look at it. So the Royals have been the worst team in actual, results. Not results, but runs scored to runs given up. But I'm going to go with the Fangraphs projection. I think it's more likely that the Red Sox get to 109 wins than the O's gets to 108 losses. I think even if the Red Sox don't put their best foot forward in September, they have the depth where they will still be scoring runs, hopefully. And that actually kind of segues into the next question. So Craig Edwards on Fangraphs wrote a wonderful article, which I read with my eyeballs yesterday, and it was titled "The Red Sox Shot at the Wins Record." So to tie the wins record, Boston would have to go 34-11. The article was written yesterday, so I adjusted. It was 35-11. Now it's 34-11. So that means the odds are better. But the odds of tying per calculations before last night's game, they had a 1.01% chance of breaking the record, which is held by the Seattle Mariners 116 and the Chicago Cubs. But the Chicago Cubs in 1930s didn't play the 162 game series. This is like pure winning percentage at this point. So, Dave, will the Red Sox get to this win record? I know you already said the Orioles will get more losses, so probably not, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. We'd have to go on a stupidly good clip. Our current winning percentage wouldn't do it, which really speaks to how phenomenal that Mariners team was, even though they lost in the ALDS. But, we're not going to make it for a variety of reasons. One, I think by the time we clinch the division or clinch home field, we're not going to put our starters in every day anymore. It'll be a lot of resting to keep guys fresh for the postseason. So there's one reason. But even if we do play all 162 games, we need to win each and every last one of them, I don't see us making it, just because September is an absurdly tough schedule. We have to play the Indians twice, the Yankees twice, the Astros come back into town. I think not the Mariners, there's another playoff team, the Braves we have to face again. We're starting against the Phillies tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but in the next series. So, there's a lot of really good teams we still have to play. So even if we were trying to win as many games as humanly possible, regardless of seeding, we're still probably not going to do it.
Yeah, probability-wise, it's not in the realm of it's in the realm of possibility, but it does not seem likely. So I'm going to say no, but I would not be entirely surprised if they did get the record. I mean, it's a 1% chance, that's obviously a very low odds of attaining that, but it is possible. People do this. People outperform, so hopefully that would be so cool if they broke the wins record. But despite how they do in the postseason, which is inherently a crapshoot, this is an amazing team. This has been an amazing regular season, and I want the Red Sox to win the World Series, obviously, but even if they fall short of their goal, this is one of the best teams I have ever watched on a game-by-game basis. I think it's better than the 2013 team. I think it's better than the 2007 team. I think it's better than the 2004 team, and they don't have to win the World Series to prove that. This is the first Red Sox team since 1940s to get over 100 wins. I'm speculating that they'll get over 100 wins, but it seems very, very likely they will. There are only 9 teams in history to get over 105 wins. The Red Sox have a very good shot of eclipsing that. So they could be the 10th team to do that. What about you, Jordan? What do you think about them and getting the wins record?
I'm going to stick with the playoff slash resting aspect of it. I think once we get closer to clinching the division, like Dave said, we're going to start resting players. Cora's like Cora's goal is to have everyone healthy for the postseason and a potential World Series. But I mean, I'd love to see the Red Sox get it. I don't think there's any disagreement there. But I think as of right now, I don't think it's that likely.
No, it's not that likely. But it would be so cool. But yeah, moving on, Eduardo Rodriguez is making progress. So he threw a BP session before yesterday's game against the Orioles, and Alex Cora said he looked, quote unquote, electric. So he's going to do a bullpen on Sunday, and then he's going to have a simulated batting practice on Wednesday. This is before the Phillies game, and then he'll have to go to a rehab assignment in the minors. He's looking like he's recovering quicker than expected, which is awesome, so we should be able to see Erod down the stretch. Now, in what capacity, I don't know. But Dave, when would you expect to see Erod back?
So, I don't think he's going to be ready until at least September, and even if he is ready a little bit before, we've got a big roster crunch coming up ahead, so I probably wouldn't put him back until September when the roster expands to 40, because you don't want to have to make too many roster moves. But yeah, I don't know when he's coming back. All signs point to him making a great recovery, but I'm a little worried just because we've been down this road before with Eddie. I believe it was 2016. Yeah, it was 2016. He missed most of spring training with a knee injury, and he, made his rehab starts in Pawtucket, and then that team had a real problem with its starting pitching, so they kind of just said, screw it, and threw Eddie into the majors for 6 starts, and he just got absolutely shelled. He had an ERA in the 9s. All the other peripherals were terrible. So they brought him back too early, and he really struggled. He went back to Pawtucket for a few weeks and then came back up and was same old Eddie. So I'm a little worried about rushing him too quickly because this thing was like, possibly a season-ending injury. So I'd give him September to find his form. If he can pitch like he did before, awesome, but I'm really keeping my expectations low with Eddie just because I really don't want us bringing him back just for the sake of having him,
Yeah, you don't want to rush him back into anything before he's ready. He looks good, but we should probably tread with caution. He's very valuable, and they need him for September and October, obviously. Jordan, what do you or when would you expect Eduardo Rodriguez to come back?
I think September is a good guess. I was just thinking this year in particular, we brought back Pedroia when we thought he was good, and then he only played 1 game, and then went back on the DL and hasn't played since. So I think treading with caution is a great idea. We don't want to bring him back just to have him back yet. So I think we're all on the right track.
Wholeheartedly agreed. So the Red Sox play their doubleheader today. You're probably listening to this. I don't even know. You could be listening to after game 1. You could be listening to it Sunday. But yeah, we recorded at 9 this morning, and the Red Sox have the doubleheader today. Their first game is at 1 p.m. Eastern. David Price will go against Jimmy Yacobonis. Love that name. That is fun. And then at 7:05 p.m. That'll be the night game of the day-night doubleheader. We don't know who's going to pitch that yet. It could be Hector Velasquez, could be William Cuevas. Depends on if Velasquez pitches out of the bullpen in game 1. And then he'll go against Yifrey Ramirez. But for now, that's actually going to do it for this episode of the Red Sox Unfiltered podcast. Dave, do you have any departing thoughts for everyone?
No, I think we covered everything we needed to cover.
Yeah, what about you, Jordan? You got a departing thought?
I'm great, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whatever.
Bobby Dalbec is really good at baseball, or he's good at hitting dingers. He has 4 home runs in AAA. I wrote this on the Daily Dose. His isolated power in Salem, which is where he spent the most of his season this year, he has a .375 isolated slugging percentage. In Portland, which is like 22 plate appearances, not a great sample size, but he has a 900-plus slug and a .550 isolated power. The dude rakes. He kills it. I think last week, Dave, you did your departing thought on Bobby Dalbec, but I'm going to do it again because he is so captivating to watch. I wonder what his timetable would be. I wonder when the Red Sox would consider bringing him up for a cup of tea in the majors. I don't know if it's this year because they have such a, every position on the position player spectrum seems to be covered, but he's might be ready sooner than they expected, and he might force their hand because he can hit, and he's 23, so he's about an appropriate age to be called up. So next year it'll be interesting. I can't believe he's not a top 100 prospect. That's weird to me. He's got so much power. I know it's kind of out of nowhere this year. In Greenville, he hit 13 home runs. His slug was like 440. He was an okay power hitter, but he is taken to the fly ball revolution, man. He has a 61 fly ball percentage in Double-A Portland right now, which is just remarkable. His ground ball to FB from last year to this year, it's not even in the same class. So, yeah, he's a launch angle guy, and it's been working out for him. We'll see how he progresses as the year goes on, and yeah, I think he's definitely in the top on my personal prospect list, and I'm not a prospect expert by any means. He's a top 5 guy. He's right up there with Chavez. He's right up there with Groom. I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. But yes, that will do it for the 19th episode of the Red Sox Unfiltered podcast. You can go listen to this on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and others. We are available through the RedSoxUnfiltered.com. You can go on to our website, click on podcasts, and look us up. Or you can look us up on the Grueling Truth, who is our affiliate. They post our podcasts on some of these various outlets that you can listen to. But yeah, we got the doubleheader today. It should be a good one, guys. As always, thank you for listening, and go Red Sox.